Why does it matter to have good pelvic floor tone around the clitoris? And not only for intimacy, but for overall pelvic floor health, meaning better bladder control, great bowel movements, proper spinal health, deep breathing, relaxation, nice posture, and more. Stay tuned because I'm going to share with you all the details in this episode. And I'm Candia Raquel. I am a Mexican sensualist, scientist, and artist. You are here at the Sensual Sessions Podcast, the place to explore sensing pleasure through the senses, to move in a way that it's free from inhibition and full of self expression. This episode is part of the Pelvic Floor Sensuality series as a propedeutic for the 4-week online pelvic floor awakening course. Shall you wish to join? And stay till the end of this episode because I'm going to share with you the link for the 5-day pelvic floor challenge that is free. So, why does it matter to have a great pelvic floor tone around the clitoris? Well, I'm going to share with you a story first of a dear colleague. She's a Hollywood star, Sarah Player. Perhaps you saw her in Law and Order, and she was a guest on one of our Sensual Sessions previously. And she also invited me to teach at her Glow platform that is about sensual and erotic audios. And we did an Instagram live where she shared how she recovered her pelvic floor after childbirth using the sensitivity of her clitoris to awaken the sensitivity of all the pelvic floor. And I'm gonna share with you why that is possible. Well, because the clitoris, as most of we know about, is just the tip of the iceberg. So if we think of the clitoris as a bean size anatomy part, we are missing the 90% of the full picture. So take your hand and see your 5 fingers, and your 5 fingers are together, and imagine that the just the fingertip of your middle finger, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's the clitoris part that we see protruding out of the feminine pelvic floor. And then you have the other 4 fingers. See, the clitoris has 4 legs that are called in Latin crura. So these legs of the clitoris are embedded in the muscles of the perineum, specifically the bulbospongiosus and the ischiocavernosus. So you have in the middle, like in 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 the point in the area where the labia minora come together, you see the tip of the clitoris. So imagine that's your the tip of your middle finger. And then you see the labia minora and the labia majora. And underneath, so we have 4 lips down there. And underneath each lip, there's the previously mentioned muscles. So on the base of the labia minora, closer to the vaginal canal, there are the bulbosponchiosus muscles surrounding the vaginal entrance and also around the urethra and the clitoris. And these bulbosponchiosus are muscles that have an erectile quality, meaning they plump up, they get swollen with blood during arousal. So you have those muscles and you have two of the four legs of the clitoris immersed in those two muscles. And then a little bit more to the sides, to the outer aspect of the front part of the pelvic floor, you have the outer labia, the labia majora, and underneath this labia, you have the other erectile muscles that are the ischiocavernosus, and these are attached to the bone, to the pubic ramus. So it's very important to have a good tone in all the pelvic floor, but specifically around the clitoris and in this front part of the base of the pelvis that makes for the perineal muscles, because you have the legs of the clitoris going all the way through those muscles. And I know that it's it could still sound amazing that the clitoris is about 9 millimeters big, even to 12 centimeters. Like it's all the way from your pubic bone almost to your sit bones. Or if you're a male and do visualize this so you have a better idea of how your beloved is in her lady parts. And this front part of the base of the pelvis, the perineal muscles, are very important to keep the structural integrity anatomically of the whole pelvis and the spine. And also to ensure that the sphincters have a proper tone, meaning it's easier for the bladder, but it's easier to have bladder control because there's a good tone in these muscles to close the urethra when you've finished peeing and you are not like dripping afterwards or finish or feeling like you have to go again every 3 minutes. And also it's important to regain like the inward sensation of the pelvic floor, especially after childbirth. So these are, well, it, it's also very important, uh, this front part of the pelvic floor, to have a good low back posture and ensure that you have spinal health, because this front part of the pelvic floor, well, the perineum, has a special connection with one of the most important muscles of the core system, that is the transversus abdominis. It's the muscle that makes your waist skinnier. It keeps your organs in place and protects the natural lordosis of the low back. So when these muscles around the clitoris are like somehow disconnected, it's very easy to collapse in a flat back position, to be hunched all the way and to be like rolled back from your sit bones, like with a tortoise back. So no, we want the front of the pelvic base, these muscles, to be on. And of course, it's extremely important to have a good tone in this area of the perineum around the clitoris for arousal. And yes, I mostly talk about non arousal sensuality, about embodying the pleasure of being, of just being alive. And also, I motivate to delight in the pelvic floor in a non-arousal way, which is how we spend most of our lives. But in this episode, I want to highlight that it's very important also, uh, the pelvic floor specifically in this area, the perineum, for arousal. Like the tone of the bulbus spongiosus and ischiocavernosus is fundamental when you're having your juices flowing, because these tissues are what are gonna support the engorgement or the filling up with blood of the clitoris, which is made of the exact same tissues as the phallus, as the penile shaft or the penis. Like if you track back embryologically how the development has been, it's practically the same structure. The glands of the penis is has the same nerves that the little tip of the clitoris. Actually, the clitoris is more concentrated and it has even more neural endings. So, yeah, you want to have a happy perineum, to have a happy clitoris. And here's the gold. If you happen to be somewhat disconnected of your pelvic floor, you are feel anesthetized, you lost the sensitivity, as it often happens after childbirth or after a, a bad injury. It happened to me when I fractured my knee meniscus. I lost all sensitivity of the pelvic floor. And it's great to remember that you have your clitoris there and that it has over 10,000 nerve endings, and that you can use its sensitivity not only for arousal and mind blowing sex, but you can use that sensitivity just for your pleasure, and also to awaken the sensitivity of the rest of the pelvic floor. And once you connected your brain via the nervous system to the muscles through this being aware of the sensation, through this process of sensitization, it's gonna be only a matter of time, short time of sustaining the sensation, your awareness in the sensation, for your muscles to regain the ability to to engage, to contract when they are needed, and for your pelvic floor to improve all over. And I share all of this in more detail inside Pelvic Floor Awakening, my best seller course that is coming soon. And I want to share with you the base practice so you can get started right now, connecting with your pelvic floor in a embodied way. And it's just working with a natural breathing pattern, and it has 3 steps. The first step is to focus on the sensations of your breathing. Notice, like, yeah, I am inhaling and now I am exhaling, and allow your your breathing cycle to be complete, especially on the exhalation. Really go as far as the very end of the exhale. We oftentimes, because of anxiety, stress, our hustle culture, tend to interrupt the exhale. Don't do that because you're gonna exit the process. So do your best to just allow your body ah, to exhale as far as possible. Like Joseph Pilates said, exhale all the way until you have let go the very last atom of oxygen, carbon dioxide inside your lungs. See how far can you go on the exhale. And by doing this, you are supporting that your nervous system rebalances its modus operandi between survival mode and rest and digest mode. We want the latter because it's in this parasympathetic dominance, that's the anatomical term, where we can embody the sensation of the pelvic floor. Meaning, the more relaxed that you are, the easier it will be for your pelvic floor to regain its sensitivity, its function. So that's the first step. Exhale. Just exhale. Long. Step number two is to notice the shape of your breath. When you inhale, you become like a sexy balloon. And when you exhale, you become like a vortex, like a black hole. You draw everything in. So notice when you inhale that your belly comes a little bit out, your rib cage expands, and especially your pelvic floor widens, almost as if yawning. And on the exhale, specifically at the very end of the exhale, you will notice that your ribs fall back to your low back. Your low belly also falls towards your low back, and your pelvic floor draws in and up naturally. And then again, everything expands, then everything draws in. Notice how the shape of your breath changes. And pay specific attention on the very nuanced changes of the pelvic floor that are about 2 millimeters big. Very nuanced movement in the pelvic floor, very nuanced sensation. And again, you are just letting it be. You're letting it happen. You are riding the sensations of your natural breathing and dismantling tensions that may get in the way or bad habits as clenching the pelvic floor to orgasm or to do Kegels or because a yoga teacher told you or a Pilates teacher told you. Just put all that aside. It's useless here. We want to restore the natural breathing pattern. You just breathe and dismantle tensions and allow the shape of your breath to take form. And step number three is self-consent. Ask yourself if you give yourself permission to delight in the sensations of the pelvic floor. And go for the first response that you get. If it's a no, then don't do it. If you don't know, then don't do it. And if you feel like, yes, this feels good, then by all means do delight in the sensations of the pelvic floor. See, You don't have to be aroused, you don't have to be in a sexual situation to enjoy the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is there just as your ear lobe or your nose or your hand is just another part of your body to enjoy it just the same. And it has a tremendous potential for pleasure because there are a lot of nerve endings in the pelvic floor because of the genitals, because of the sphincters, because it works as a floor in the core system supporting breathing as you have just practiced. So see if you can give yourself permission to welcome the pleasure that your pelvic floor offers you and delight in it sensually. Just savor, like, feels so good. And this is just for you. This is a practice of self sourced pleasure and is the approach that I follow to, to become embodied, especially in the pelvic floor. We want to use pleasure, we want to be sensuous and use this being in the body to reclaim our vitality, our life force, and live our fullest lives. And if you're ready to take the next step, I invite you to jump into the 5-day pelvic floor challenge. It's free. Just go to my website, which is my name, candiaraquel.com/, pelvic floor challenge altogether. And again, it's www.candiaraquel.com/ pelvic floor challenge. I am posting the link in the caption of this episode and hope to see you inside and see you blooming from within. Until next time, do remember to take the time to sense your fire so you can share the flame.